And that is one Cecil Shorts, man. Y'all know the vibes. If you woke up this morning, you already won. I hope you've done something right now that your future self will thank you for. Brother, how are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm a little darker. Been outside a little bit, getting ready for just being with the kids and running around. Need a haircut, but we'll get there. Fourth coming soon.
Yeah, I
Let me
need one
clean.
too. Hey, man, we
Gotta
got
be
to
clean for
start
the
with this
fourth.
off the sports tip, man. I don't know if you heard the news, but it was announced that Bone Thugs and Harmony will be getting a Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame.
Oh, okay.
They are part of the class of 2026, man, and I think that's pretty dope that announced that happened today, and we get them to make that announcement on the Ultimate 216 show. Bone Thugs and Harmony, man, finally getting a star on a
You,
Hollywood Walk of Fame, man.
it feels good to have cousins on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's a joke because everybody in Cleveland say some member of the Bone Thugs and Harmony is their cousin or they relate to him some type of way.
Lazy Bone was my cousin when I was a kid.
some type of way. Everybody was related to him, but must like kudos to them, man. That's awesome.
Big
Well
facts,
deserved.
kudos to them, man. So listen, man, it's gonna be a reaction type show. We're gonna react to some things that's going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I ain't seen my boys since Todd Jerome didn't get a bag and Sam Merrill did. We got some Katie and LeBron talking about Darius Garland. Uh, Donovan Mitchell sat down and reacted after the Cleveland Cavaliers season came to an end. But first, man, we'll get started with we had a guest on today's show, Warren Sharp, and I thought he had some choice words how the Cleveland Browns should approach the season, man. But before we get into all that, don't forget, like, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel so you can stay in the know, ring the bell so you can get notifications on this show. The rest of the spinoff shows, y'all know the vibes, man. If y'all watching us live, drop in the chat where you're watching from. We'll shoot y'all out, shout y'all out as the show goes on. So again, like, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel. So we had NFL analyst Warren Sharp on our show today. I was on the panel today with G. Bush and Anna the Bull.
Okay.
Fun show, I thought it was. If y'all didn't see it, go check that out. And he had a very, very strong opinion on how the Cleveland Browns should approach the 2025 season. And I actually pushed back on Warren a little bit because I didn't agree with him. From afar, I can understand the landscape of his point, bro. Of the Cleveland Browns, they need a quarterback. They need a franchise quarterback. And until you put yourself in a position to get one, then you're going to always be in the situation that you're in now. And for me, I feel like no matter what the situation is, our football team needs to always take the approach of trying to win as many games possible. Before you react to that, I'm gonna play this combined clip. This is Sharp speaking on what he believed the Cleveland Browns approach should be in 2025, and then I rebuttal to that. This is about a minute 34 seconds long. Come back, we get your reaction.
I think that your main number one priority this year is not winning games. It's figuring out if you have a franchise quarterback on your roster, and if not, you need to lose as many games as possible this year so that you can ensure that you're going to draft that franchise quarterback at the top of the 2026 NFL draft.
I kind of got to push back on what you're saying. Even though I hear you, you want to put yourself in the best position possible to draft one of the best projected quarterbacks in 2026. But I think a lot has to go right, for you to be in that spot. And there's no guarantee that any of those guys will be as good as projected to be. And I think one of the things that's going on here in the city of Cleveland is fans are pissed off. As you talked about with the Deshaun Watson contract, we all know everything that was going on around Deshaun Watson. You trade for him, you sign him to a guaranteed deal. We get no return on investment as fans, right? Then you go to the Nick Chubb situation, beloved fan favorite. He doesn't get the opportunity to leave Cleveland on his own accord. You think about last season, how the expectations were set so high and we underperformed so much that it quite frankly pissed everybody off. The point I'm making is I'm a Browns fan. I know these Browns fans pretty well. It is going to be very, very hard to sell us on a plan for 2026. It's hard for Browns fans to hear like you should lose as many games as you possibly can this year, because things have been so bad that this franchise owe it to this fan base to go out here and at least try to win. Shout out to Warren Sharp, man, who joined us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show earlier today. What was your thoughts on what you heard?
I think it's crazy to tank a season. And that's what it was. He was like, you need to lose as many games as possible. And I just disagree with that. That kills your fan base. That kills your organization. It kills your culture. It kills the players. And it's not the players that are trying to lose. It will be the organization that's trying to do that, right?
Mhm.
And that's just not what you want. I don't think you're 2 years removed from the playoffs. Actually, you're just one season removed from the playoffs. Honestly, going into the year 2, right? So you need to win as much as possible. I do agree with him as you watch the interview, and it was a really good interview by y'all, UG Bush, and I think it was the Bull. Was the Bull on there
Yeah,
today, if
it
I'm not
was bull.
mistaken? I do agree with Sharp when he says they need to be on the same page. Like they have to be on one accord. Okay, the season's going well. Let's continue to go out and win games with whoever's out there. But if not, right, as the season goes rail and you struggling or whatever the case may be, or even coming into the season, what is the goal here, right?
Right.
That's what I want to truly know, because I still don't know what's Andrew Barry's and Kevin Stefanski's goal for the season. In my mind, is to win as many games as possible, right? With who you have and figure out who your quarterback could be. Is it Shador or is it Dylan? I think we all agree with that. It got to be one of them. If it ain't one of them, they got to play. But if it ain't one of them, all right, cool. We can go figure out who the guy would be next year in the draft. But like you mentioned, there's no guarantee for that. Like
Right.
you thought Baker was a hit. You thought Johnny Manziel was a hit. Hell, you thought Deshaun Watson was a hit. There's no you over 3. There's no guarantee for that at all. So I do think they can be on the same page, but tanking or trying to lose games or whatever the case may be for that particular pick is asinine to me. Just to be honest with you, I just don't agree with it. I don't like the take. I don't think a Cleveland fan, as you said, would be okay with that.
Yeah, I thought honestly, I felt like it kind of triggered the minds of probably, some of the listeners that was listening or watching live on YouTube, because to your point, this is a fan base that's proud. No matter how much losing that's been going on, you want to go out there and you want to put your best foot forward. And the Cleveland Browns need a clear-cut plan going into the 2025 season. And right now, I don't think nobody believed that they have one. They don't know how they want to go about it. To me, it seems like they just gonna roll the best roster out there and see what happens, right? If they start losing, then they just follow suit. If they win, they'll probably up the ante a little bit. But I don't think that's fair to the fan base. Quite honest, I think that's wishing on a hope or really not having a concrete plan whatsoever. They have to come in here with a plan, and right now they don't have one. But purposely trying to lose to position yourself to be in the best position possible to draft a quarterback in 2026, I just strongly disagree with that. I think there are too many, things that would have to fall into place for that to happen. One, you have to lose enough to guarantee you the number one overall pick. And then two, who's to say that any of these guys that is touted right now as top prospects going into 2026, like some of those guys might decide to stay in school. Some of those guys might not pan out to be the players that they're projected to be right now in 2025. And so it's kind of hard to put all your eggs in one basket of, we'll just do what we got to do this year with a hope and a prayer that in 2026, we can get this thing turned around. Like that don't make sense to me.
And I tell you what, I don't care what people think that Andrew and Kevin are safe. If you lose games, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. And I'll be honest with you, when you have 2 first-round picks next year and the multitude of picks they have in next year's draft and on and so forth, your job is kind of more attractive when you have that. So you could, if you're the owner, if you're a Haslam and things aren't going or things get arrayed real fast, because I'm be honest with you, when I'm watching what the Steelers are doing, they're in win now mode.
Yeah, they
They went
are.
out and got Jalen Ramsey. They went out and got these guys, Jonnu Smith. Like they went out and got Aaron Rodgers. They're in win now mode. Baltimore, we know what they're gonna bring to the table.
And they added to their defensive backfield with Jair Alexander.
With Jair Alexander. That's a great point. Cincinnati, they should be on the up and up. They stay healthy. They should be somebody that you like. So to me, you're already at the bottom of the AFC North looking up, just being honest, right? Just being honest. So I'm thinking about it in my head. I'm like, if things go awry, like it's like, all right, cool. You start losing a bunch of games. Kevin ain't safe, in my opinion. The more I think about it, because now you got some ammo that can attract some people to this job. Again, you're only one season away from playoffs. You got your butt beaten NRG not too long ago in Houston, Texas, but you're only 1 year away from that. Like, you were on a roll that season with Flacco. You were on a roll that year. And then last year, like you mentioned in the clip, it was a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, we're trying to get things back rolling again. And if you don't get things back rolling, who's to say that Andrew or Kevin will be back? You got 2 first-round picks, a multitude of picks, and supposed to be a really good draft class. A GM and a head coach would jump on this opportunity to help turn the Browns around.
You know what? The more that you talk, the more I'm starting to believe that, because we do know Jimmy Haslam, he's impulsive. He can say one thing today and he can totally have a change of heart tomorrow. And to your point, if the Browns totally crap the bed this year, you're right. You're going to have 2 first-round picks, one of them probably in the top 5. You got one of the best players in all the NFL on this team locked up probably for the rest of his career, Myles Garrett. You got 2 young defensive linemen that play next to Myles Garrett and Mike Hall Jr. and Mason Graham. You flip it on the other side of the ball, you got a young, promising star running back in Quinshon Judkins. You do have one weapon at wide receiver and Jerry Jeudy. And, you are going to be in a situation to where you're going to move into a brand new stadium in about 2 seasons after this season. And so to your point, all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns job is now way more attractive, next offseason than it is this particular offseason. And so we can walk around and think that because Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski is moving a certain type of way that they are presumed to be safe. But to your point, man, we get out here and we really look bad and losing a bunch of games, even if we are projected to lose a bunch of games. I don't see a situation to where the coach and the GM do come back. I don't see it at all. We're going to play this one last clip from Warren Sharp, get our reactions on this, and then we move on to some cash. This is what Warren was talking about, the other side of it, right? That if the Cleveland Browns got off to a pretty good start, this is the only way he see that being the case.
I think for Stefanski, if my number one job is to win games in 2025 to save my job and maybe do you guys really think, what is their win total? 4.5, 5.5 games this year. They're favored in 1 game out of 17 right now by the Vegas odds looking at the upcoming season. Do we really think they're going to produce a winning record this year?
No.
The only way that even possibly happens is if Shedeur Sanders is absolutely incredible and starts early on in the season. I think if you're trying to win games and secure your job, if your job could be safe, if Kevin Stefanski, if ownership tells him, look, your job will be safe if we win 7 games next year, 7 or 8 games next year, he's going to be starting Joe Flacco as much as possible. I think Joe Flacco is the quarterback that gives the team the best chance to win week 1 and theoretically beyond. It's hard to play quarterback in the NFL. It's going to be hard for Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel to come in week 1 and have a lot of success. We both know that. So I think that Joe Flacco gives the team the best chance, but I just don't know that that's, like I said before, my hope if I'm a Browns fan is that Joe Flacco doesn't win a single game for me this year because he's not the future and 7 or 8 wins does absolutely nothing for me. And you guys
can't get with it, man. Can't get with it. Can't get with it. I can understand the concept, but I can't get with it. Y'all let us know what y'all think in the comments, man. Y'all jump in the chat. Y'all let us know. Should the Cleveland Browns try to lose as many games as possible to position themselves to, be at the top of the 2026 NFL draft? Or as a Browns fan, would you appreciate a valiant effort of this team going out there and trying to win as many games as they can this year, despite what the over-under is? I think it's at 4.5 wins for the Cleveland Browns. So y'all let us know what y'all think in the chat as we move on. Don't forget, man, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ring the notification bell to stand and know for the latest. So that's what's going on with the Ultimate 216 show, the rest of the Ultimate spinoff shows. We want to thank y'all for a very successful month of June, according to Steve Becker, the executive producer. The Ultimate 216 show, we did 69,671 views in the month of June. So shout out to y'all to continue to support this show, this podcast, and what me and my brother got going on, man. Thank you. All right, man. So I want to start with the Donovan Mitchell side of things. So Taylor Brooks, right? The sports analyst for Bleacher Report. She sat down with Donovan Mitchell as Donovan kind of reacted and got some things off his chest at how the last season just ended. I took 2 clips from there where he talked about the season coming to an abrupt end. And then the second clip I got from there is him pushing Evan Mobley to that next step. Before we get into any of that, I got to ask you, because we haven't talked about it. the moves that the Cavs have made so far this offseason, how you feel about them?
I actually like it. And one thing in particular, I know Ty was your guy. I know Ty was your man. But
Touch
I
of
feel like
roll.
I feel like when DG, Mobley, all those guys got hurt, right? And it was only Donovan moving the ball up the court. We had nobody else that could dribble the ball up the court. Simply bring the ball up the court consistently and bring it in Alonzo Ball. Somebody that can, if he's healthy, somebody that can really run the point guard, that can really he can hit his open shots if need be, but he can run the offense. He can be a guy that can defend. He's long, he's lanky. He's somebody that's proven to do well as far as running the offense, and guys love playing for him. I think that's a better option than a Ty Jerome, right? Even though Ty Jerome was up for Sixth Man of the Year and all these things, I feel like we can go a little bit deeper. We can do some things if Lonzo is helping running the show, right? If Lonzo gets those minutes that Ty Jerome had, I think he could really do some things. I love you bring back Sam Merrill. So I think you're doing something. Porter Jr. is in the mix now. I think you're doing some things. I was disappointed with my name slipped my mind. He was in the G League for the Cavs, and we recently released him. We did not sign
Money
him back.
Bates.
I wanted to see. I thought he had potential, and I wanted to, maybe he can just find a way to get in the lineup. But I don't know. I'm not there every day. I get it, but the way he's able to score and what he's doing in the G League and what he's able to do when he does get his chance, he's a scorer, and you need more guys to score. But I love the Lonzo Ball. I love Sam Merrill, and we'll see what else happens. But I think Lonzo was huge because the Indiana series, we struggled bringing the ball up the court and having that depth piece as far as anybody that went down.
Yeah, Lonzo Ball to me, I think when healthy, you fleece the Chicago Bulls in that deal. This is a 6'6" facilitating point guard that can defend. I think he played somewhere around 39 games last year, which was his first season in about 2 years, and he was pretty solid. I look at this situation like you, and we're getting to the Darius Garland side of things, but DG is going to start the season injured. He won't be available to us. And if is a big factor here when you're talking about Lonzo Ball and his health. But if he's healthy, I think that he will do. Be a huge part of unlocking the next level of Evan Mobley, because Ball is not a point guard that's out there that's looking to score. He's looking to get everybody on the team involved, and we've talked about getting Evan Mobley's usage rate up, and I think he will do numbers in helping that be the case. And then you look at it from a defensive standpoint, he's a guy that won't get caught in pick and rolls a lot, right? Because he's big, he can defend, he know how to get around those screens and things like that.
Intelligent.
Yeah, very intelligent. And this is the former number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft. So, he's been in the NBA for a while. I think he's played 6 seasons. And if he's healthy, I think it can be a huge beneficiary to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I look at the move with Larry Nance Jr., a guy that's familiar with the organization. He's been in the league 10 years. The Cavs was lacking a backup big, right? A guy that can shoot on a perimeter, a guy that can play with and off of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And you get a guy that can do all of that. Then you get him on a veteran minimum. You consider the Cleveland Cavaliers salary situation. It is what it is. Ty Jerome, that's my guy. That's my boy. And that was a fun story last year. I really don't know what went into the whole Sam Merrill over Ty Jerome saga. Ty Jerome said that the Cleveland Cavaliers never really made an offer. We talked about it today on the show. Kobe Altman said at the end of last season that re-signing Ty Jerome was the top priority. So the truth clearly lies somewhere in the middle. Before we get to this, the last point on Imani Bates, I'll say this. People that's closer to the situation to me believe that Imani Bates can hoop, but he can't play basketball. And the Cleveland Cavaliers had a vision of a style of play to help him be a complementary piece on this team. And Imani in this camp had a different vision of what that looked like. And so I think part of developing players in the NBA, you got to have a solid plan for said player, but said player also has to buy into what that plan is for you. So hopefully Imani Bates gets an opportunity to show what he can do in another organization. Maybe this situation with him getting a fresh start will be another motivational factor for him. And, all's well that ends well. But I do agree with you. That's a very talented young man. It's just unfortunate things that didn't turn out, the way that we kind of thought it would here in Cleveland. But speaking of last season, this is Donovan Mitchell talking about last season coming to an abrupt end.
You said this one more so than the others. Why?
I think for me, because you look at the way the regular season went, you look at the way things were stacked up, I think for me, it was just, in my mind, it was like, this is supposed to. Like, and that everybody says, like, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, that was my plan. Like, all right, cool. 60 games, we on these win streaks. All right, cool. I'm not saying we took anything for granted at all by any means, but I said, like, this, it just felt like this was that time. You know what I mean? I think everybody can agree with that. So I think that's why when it ended so abruptly, like, even the summer, like, I didn't have any plans. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's why I think I found myself, like, even though I was moving around and different things, I found myself still just sitting there just trying to process, like, that we don't play tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. And I was in Cleveland for about a week after and usually after the season I fly out right after I go back home. I couldn't leave because it was just like, there's no way. Like, you know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? And I think it's ultimately going to fuel me. You know what I mean? I'm at that point now where I've accepted it and now I'm using it, to work. But it's definitely one of those, especially when you have a year like that as a group, you're like, yeah, this is special.
That's Taylor Rooks sitting down with Donovan Mitchell, courtesy of Bleacher Report. I remember I worked at Game 5 at Rocket Arena. And, when you're a media member, you arrive 2 hours before the game start. You're typically there about an hour and a half, 2 hours after the game ends. Typically within that hour and a half time span, what happens is the players go back to the locker room, they change clothes, get dressed, they complete their media obligations, everybody go home for the night. This particular game, Donovan Mitchell went right back on the court after everybody cleared out, and he sat there. When I was leaving, Donovan Mitchell was still in his Cleveland Cavaliers uniform. G. Bush pointed out today that Donovan was the only guy that went back out there and sat on that bench to take in a moment, and to hear him talk about how that particular loss fueled him and how he's using that to get ready for this upcoming season is just another feather in his cap of being the leader of this team and a flat out dog, man.
Everything he said in that interview is what you want to hear. Like, even him talking about, like, how the distraction of whether he will be in Cleveland or somewhere else, like, I love that conversation because he was like, I wanted to be here. I knew I was going to be here. Altman knew I was going to be here. Like, everybody knew I was going to be here, but the distraction of it made it hard for me, made it hard for my teammates to answer those questions. He's somebody that wants to be in Cleveland. And as he went on to talk, he's like, it's going to be different between us winning a championship is different than Bron. Like, I can't do what he did. I can't do what him and Kyrie put together. But we got to put our own thing together, right? And I'm with you. I think this really motivated him. This really put a fuel under his fire. And he already is one of the best players in the league. He already had a motivating something in him because he went out there and performed every single night. He was never the issue night to night. He had some streaky shooting at times, right? But he was never the issue night to night. He was able to go out there and ball. So to hear that from your leader, to hear that from somebody that wants to be here, to hear that from your best player on your team, it gets me fired up. Because I know he's going to be prepared next season. He's going to make sure the guys are prepared for next season. So that was it. Honestly, that whole interview was awesome to hear, man. For him to sit down, just relax, and for him to be upset and say, man, I ain't have no plans. I was planning on playing.
Yeah.
We all were. We all were, Earl. Like, we expected them to go on far in the playoffs to the
Bro,
it was 2 weeks ago.
And my mind, I'm working all the way through June. I didn't have no plans on my schedule either. I know that the Cleveland Cavaliers play at least twice a week. I understand what my obligations is. So I'm not making no plans because there's no reason why we're not playing in the NBA Finals. And so for things to not go the way that they thought and we thought as a fan base, that was a tough gut punch. But I like cool stories. Excuse me. And I like storylines. Coming into this year is the 10-year anniversary of the last championship. And me and you both know the word says, man, humility before honor. So all I'm saying is this is the core group that's been together 3 or 4 seasons now. and they have yet to reach the promised land. But they continue to go through adversity. Donovan said he felt like this team took a huge step forward this year. It'd be interesting to see how motivated everybody is. You talk about the leadership standpoint, and I had a conversation with Spider off the record, and he talked about how he appreciated how this particular group allowed him to lead. And, for him to make the sacrifices he made in particular for those guys to be greater, I thought it was profound. One of those guys being Evan Mobley. And in this next clip, he's going to talk about what the assignment given to him from Kenny Atkinson was prior to last season, but also this offseason going into next season. Take a listen to this.
That's what that was. But Kenny came up to me and was like, hey, like, try to push Evan Mobley. And even more so next year. Push Ev, push Ev, push Ev. Ev has the potential, man, and he's continuing to take that rise. And I'm glad he said it. Like, they asked who the next face of the league was in 5 years, and he said himself and Wemby. I love that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now my push to Ev is I need 20 shots. Mm-hmm. But he has to go and say that. Like, give me the ball. Yep. Like, be able to demand, like, you know what I mean? But I was the same way as him. Like, I was a little more demonstrative than he was, but like being comfortable in that space, that because what comes from that is fair success and praise, but also criticism. Yeah.
I'm glad one of his teammates said it, and I'm glad it was Donovan in particular. Now, he went on to say furthermore in that clip that, and check out that interview. I thought it was a fire interview, how Evan does need to be more demanding and more vocal, and how he understands because Evan is quiet, like it's going to be hard for that to be, a thing, but you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And to hear Donovan say, this man needs to become a 20 shot per game night, like 20 shot a night, dude, that we all believe that's the only way that the Cleveland Cavaliers is going to accomplish the feat of winning an NBA championship is if Evan Mobley continues to develop. And me and you did a show probably about a month and a half ago where I said, if you're asking Evan Mobley to be somebody he's not, be that guy, hey, give me the rock. I need that. If you're asking him to be that, I kind of felt like, okay, well, you're asking Evan to be somebody he's not. And if he's not comfortable being uncomfortable, that can become a problem. But hearing Donovan speak on it, it's kind of changed my view a little bit, because maybe it's not a problem. Like, look at it more so as a challenge. This is a challenge for you to take that next step in the evolution of which should be one of the one or two best players in the NBA in the next 5 years. What was your thought process on what Donovan had to say about Evan Mobley?
Now, let me ask you this. In that video you just showed, Donovan said that Evan said in the next 5 years he sees himself. And
yeah, he said that. I think they asked him that around the All-Star weekend, and he answered that question.
So to me, that tells me he knows he's that dude. Now it's about, like Donovan was saying, getting that dog out of him, right? Getting him to truly believe it. Don't just say it. Let's go out there and do it, right? So I love the challenge that the coach gave Donovan. Like, all right, now we got to get him to get to the next level. Not just this past year, but next year as well. And then the year after that, like, we got to get the most out of him. And for Donovan, the best player on the team, to be like, hey, I need him to take 20 shots next. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Like, I don't know if I've heard a superstar say, hey, I need him to take 20 shots next year, 20 shots a game. Like, that's a big deal, because that could be taking something out of his pocket, right? That could be not his pocket, excuse me. That could be taking away one or two of his touches, right? But he sees the whole grand scheme of things, like, hey, like you mentioned there, we're only going to get to the top if you can take us there. Yeah. I can take us this far, but we need you to come on too. And especially you have the ability to do it and everybody sees it. Now it's just about getting it out of him. It can be a special time. So I love what I'm hearing from Donovan. And he knows it and he sees it. There's no jealousy there. This pure, I just want to win. I love that guy. I love my teammate. I want the best for him, and he can do it. How can I help get the most out of him? That's what you want to see from your leaders, man.
One last thing on that. He did say in his interview that him and Evan has talked this offseason, and he kind of gave this look that, for sure, Evan is ready to go. One last thing we got to get to before we get out of here. We only got a couple more minutes. So this is also along the lines of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, we talked about Lonzo Ball being that facilitating point guard and being this long guy that can defend and somebody that can step in when Darius Garland is not available. We just talked about Donovan Mitchell, and you alluded to it. He's one of the best players in the league. So much so that when you're not 6'6", 6'6", and guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron James say, well, it's only a few guys that don't reach that threshold that are flat out dogs, and your name is mentioned and say a clip, it says a lot about the respect that Donovan Mitchell has across the league. But Kevin Durant and LeBron James also had this to say about one Darius Garland. Take a listen to this and we'll react to it.
6'2" and under guard is at a premium no more as a starter. Maybe as a backup, but you have to be.
We just talked about this the last night.
It's gotten compressed.
It has.
Right? It's compressed.
It has.
It's at like either Donovan Mitchell, Drew Holiday, 6'3", or
Lou
6'4", Lou Dort,
Yeah.
or it's not. You got to be.
You can't get picked on defense. That's the thing, because we playing such a pick-on game that they will really, literally, if you can't guard, they will bring you up every play.
Time.
Yeah.
And if
Every
you're 6 foot, 6'1", and you're not a bulldog like a Davion Mitchell, Drew Holidays, on the defensive side, or you're not an offensive flat-out savant like Kyrie, where you can score on dudes 7 feet easily and ISO, then I just can't see it.
Darius Garland, like he's an amazing basketball player. I think his value right now, like I'm shocked, like we don't talk about him as like just amazing, like because the era, like if he played in any other era, I think he would have been like his value would be through the roof. Like he's that skilled, he's water bug, he's got every shot, he can play make. But there's an era where it's like, okay, we also have to help that dude out defensively all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
like that's an example for me because he's such a good basketball player, right?
He's so tough.
I mean, it's just, he is, and it's like, but the defensive side of the ball is where, people will attack him. If you want a chance to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, you are going at Darius Garland most of the time on the defensive side.
There it is. Real quick, we got a couple minutes. I guess your initial thought to that, and then what would your challenge be to Darius Garland this offseason?
My initial thought, honestly, I love that show. I love watching LeBron and Steve Nash talk basketball. And then I love when Kevin Durant speaks. I don't always agree with Kevin Durant, but I like when he speaks his truth, right? He speaks his mind, his truth. I don't disagree with what Kevin Durant said as far as if you want to attack the Cavaliers, that's one way to do it. You would find a mismatch and you would attack Darius Garland on the defensive side. But I think Darius is extremely talented, right? And I love that they said that because to me, that's a motivating factor being a former player. All right, cool. You said I can't defend. You said they're going to pick on me. Let me work on defending bigger guys. Let me work on what I can do, whether there's strength, whether there's whatever the case may be, so I can be a better defender because it can't be KD the only one thinking that way. It got to be somebody else as well. You know what I mean? It got to be a multitude of teams, coaches, people that think that way about him. But also, I think that's why you go out and get Lonzo. Lonzo can help in the areas that Darius can't, right? So that's interesting. But can I just say this? Can LeBron come back, please? Just seeing him, I'm like, dog, come, hey, we don't want to trade him. I don't want to trade for him. I don't want to trade for him. But go ahead and be like, just get rid of me, and then let's call a sign a free agent. Bring Bronny too. He can ride the bench. He can play, whatever he need to do in the G League.
What was his opt-in? $53 million?
Yeah, 53.5 or 52.5, something crazy.
Man, buy me off for $50 million, man. That way I can come home, do my retirement tour in Cleveland. The Cavs ain't got to break up their roster. I can teach these young guys what to do. We get another championship. It's the 10-year anniversary of the last championship.
It don't make sense.
Man, listen, the LeBron production company, they will have a field day with that storyline if they just did it that way. Man. So I'm with you. The hell with a trade. Go to Jeannie Buss and ask for a buyout. Listen, I brought a championship to this city after Kobe. I done been here holding it down. Like, y'all about to build around Luka anyway. Just go ahead, man. Give me about $50 million. Let me go ahead and do what I got to do, get back to Cleveland and go from there. As we wrap up, I'll say this. Anytime you got 3 MVPs, former MVPs in the room talking ball, guys of that quality, then, common folk, common fans, we have to pay attention and take heed to what's being said. My challenge to Darius Garland will be this, to your point. You hear the noise, they're doubting your abilities on the defensive side of the ball. When a player publicly say, if you want to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, go at Darius Garland, that's a public challenge issue to you to come out here and do what you got to do to be the best defender that you can for this upcoming season. Whether it's putting on more weight, whether it's studying more film, or just simply putting in more effort and to continuing to develop that dog mentality, you do what you got to do to like silence the noise and put yourself in the Cleveland Cavaliers in the best situation to have success. It's been another episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. There will be no Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on Friday, July 4th, but me and Cecil talked this morning, man. We're going to come on for about an hour that morning and give y'all some content, a little Keep Cup trade on a holiday mixed with some holiday fun and some sports. Make sure y'all tune in to that. Also, make sure you check out the flagship show, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock a.m. live on YouTube. For Cecil Shorts, I'm Earl of Pearl. Remember, man, be great. Spread love. Being great come with a price. Spread love is priceless. Love y'all. We out.